Today we have a special guest with us, our Kern County Supervisor, Mr. Mick Gleason, who helped celebrate our county's birthday yesterday at the Kern County Museum, 150 years, the County of Kern. And they had a wonderful event yesterday in Bakersfield. We had a lot of our Centennial Committee there supporting the city of Delano at this bash. It was a great event, and thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of that. Supervisor Mick Gleason.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. Thank you, welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I want to make a couple comments. I'll keep it real quick. First, I want to say that, Ani, you run the best band program in Kern County. Thank you very much for all you do. Every time I see that guy, he's running around with an instrument or a kid, taking care of him, one of the two or a camera. Outstanding. So I'd also like to thank the committee and all the people that worked so hard to put this whole thing together. And if you would ask them, I'll bet they'd be the first persons to tell you that thank God this year is over with. They've done a great job, and it's been fabulous. It's been a great year. And congratulations to Delano, and congratulations to all the people who did so much work to keep this thing moving. So 100 years old, 100 years old. I've only known you for 4, because I've been your supervisor for about 4 years, about 3.5, 4 years. And I can tell you what I found Delano to be in 4 years. I found you to be the most generous, warm, loving, caring community I know. That's what you are. That's what you mean to me. When I come here, I see you people taking care of yourselves. I see you taking care of each other. And I see you working hard. And I see you doing things for the betterment of your community and your county. And I am significantly thankful for all you are, all you do. And thank you and the best of luck in the next 100 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Supervisor Mick Gleason. At this time, one of our committee members, Betty Kuklis, was going to tell you about the early years of Delano. But unfortunately, Betty can't be with us today. So one of our committee members, Brenda Perry-Reed, has volunteered to step up and share with you the early years of Delano.
I would like to share with you the words that Mrs. Kuklis put together that she was going to share on this day. Some of these are in our, what do you call it, Beck? The Centennial book. Okay, Centennial, April 17th, 2016. What justifies a certain year for celebrating a centennial? The year a place is settled? The naming of the settlement? The first newspaper? A post office? A train station? The first church, the first school, a census by the federal government. All of these would certainly add to the establishment of a town, a place of an agglomeration of houses, shops, and other buildings, bigger than a village, but usually smaller than a city. In 1973, the citizens of Delano celebrated a first centennial based on the stopping of the Southern Pacific Railroad 100 years earlier. The same year, Delano was named, apparently by the train crews. In 1910, with a population of 501, the city voted to incorporate. But because of a dispute with the county over the paving of the roads, the city disincorporated because funds were not available to pave said roads. After the building of the railroad was discontinued in 1873, supposedly because of lack of funds, construction was again begun a year later, mostly by Chinese workers. During this period, sheep camps and dry farming, which included grain, dominated the area. Early settlers included the Quinns, Martins, Kramers, Valencias, Wassons, Wittens, Paneros, Schnitzes, Borrells, Burhams, Weavers, Clarks, Gerards, Waits, Dorseys, Carvers, Coles, Nagatanis, Regans, Scotts, Dyers, Hyatts, Classens, Bassetts, Brockmans, Reeds, Martinezes, Arambulas, and Bertrands. Many offspring of these earliest settlers are still in the area. As more people came to settle the area, vineyards, orange groves, dairies, cattle, cotton, vegetables, and potatoes became the added sources of income. In the downtown area, to be soon added were a bank, a saloon, Witten Brothers Drilling Company, Delano Hotel, a bakery, Delano Hardware, a newspaper, a blacksmith shop, a drugstore, a post office, an elementary school, Delano High School, and several churches. After the county agreed to pave the roads, and with a population of 575 people, Delano incorporated for the second and final time in 1915.
Thank you, Brenda. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of our committee members, Miss Alice Duarte, that will share with you from 1915 to 1940.
Well, following Brenda Perry-Reed is going to be hard because she's already stolen a lot of my thunder. Oh, well, we'll blame Betty then. In 1915, the rainfall was 12.25. City officials were L.B. Crow, Chairman F.E. Hare, D.L. Cole, Philip Jordan, Harvey Hall. The population at that point was 575. The first Thompson grave planted in the area. Pusa Creek of oil field discovered. First Monero Motion Picture Theater opened, and Columbine School was built. And in 1915, we had a fire downtown that did a lot of destruction. In 1916, the calculated rainfall was 12.06. Standard Oil built first on the oil distributing plant. Delano Women's Club will begin in 1912. And in 1917, calculated rainfall was 1.57. The City Water Department was formed. Edison Company purchased Mountain Whitney Power Company. The Cecil Avenue Parent Teachers Association was formed. In 1918, May 1st, the Delano Record was purchased by George W. McClintock. And the rainfall was 8.60 that year. In I have a lot of years to cover. And yeah, and in 1919, the American Legion Post 124 was organized. In 1920, the rainfall was 8.42. And 1921, the Delano Record reported that 6,000 acres of vines were being planted in the area, with one of the early birds being C.A. Scott. In 1922, the calculated rainfall was 9.75. The Wildflower or Ridge Grove School District approved the building of a new school for replacing the old one. And in 1923, the first fire truck purchased by the city, and Gibson Concrete started business. In 1924, the first Campfire Girls Group was organized, the First Church of Christ. In 1925, the First Assembly of God Church had its beginning. And in 1926, Mr. Henry Benjamin Morris came to Delano and started Morris Department Store that many of you will remember. And in 1927, the population was 1,500. In 1928, in May of 1920, the Chamber of Commerce entered into a lease agreement with Rose Scott for 3 years on 80 acres south of Delano for $200 per year, rent and purchase option of $125 per acre. In 1929, Delano Airport was dedicated. And in 1930, the Buddhist church was built on about 48, and about 40 families were members of the congregation. In 1931, that is the year I was born, so it's a very special year. In 1932, Mr. Olson came to Delano to become the principal of Delano High School, and many of you that are the age I am will remember our beautiful building at the high school that was eventually we lost it because of the earthquake in 1952. In 1933, St. Paul Baptist Church began, and in 1934, Delano Grange number 546 was organized. The second annual carnival change of name was held by the Delano High School Students Council in the high school gym. In 1935, Lonnie Spurrier, Lonnie Spurrier was one of our Olympic medalists. And in 1936, in October, the Delano High School Student Council held its annual Panny Carnival and High School Community Carnival. In 1937, Gary Gerard, son of Jules and Phyllis Gerard, you all know Gary. He takes a lot of photographs and writes a lot of stories. In 1938, Tulare Lake is about 10 miles west of Delano, covers 211,000 acres. And Southern Missionary Baptist Church was organized that year. In 1939, Delano Business Professional Women's Club became an organization. The Delano Hospital was built on the corner of Jefferson and 14th. In 1940, the city officials were William B. Smith, Mayor, Howard L. Cave, A.S. Cole, John Graham, and B.F. Stradley. The Japanese American Citizens League was formed. And in 1941, the Filipino Community Council was organized. The aim and purpose was to promote social, cultural, and economic development for Filipinos. In 1942, Larry Freeman purchased the Delano record under the ownership. The second linotype machine was installed. Oh, I've just been told, they said that if we went over our time, they were going to yank us off. And I'm not sure if there's some electrical current here that's going to shock me. So with that, I will end my part, and here's Janet to tell you the rest.
Thank you, Alice. Alice was selected to cover till 1940. She just was so involved in reading she wanted to go over. Thank you, Alice.